fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo silver. The Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver. Let's go, big fella. I'll Silver. Away!
Ned Downs, son of the sheriff of Caldwell, Texas, was attending school in Austin. One day, Ned stood in his room reading a letter he'd just received from his girl back home.
Dear Ned, I'm too upset to write a long letter this time. I just want to let you know Dad is dead. He was killed a few days ago by an outlaw gang. I want to see you very much, Ned, if you can get away from school at this time. I'll tell you all the details when you get here. Love, Judy. Well, those dirty yellow polecats. By Jiminy, I'll leave tonight, and I won't come back to school until those killers are caught.
On the short trip from Austin to Caldwell, Ned stopped for a meal at a cafe in Red Rock, 5 miles from his destination. A rough-looking stranger approached his table and spoke.
Howdy. Mind if I sit down?
It's all right with me.
Thanks. What are you doing, Trigger? Playing the lone hand in this territory?
Trigger? That's not my name, mister. Reckon you made a mistake.
Mighty careful, aren't you? But I don't fool easy, and I know your name is Trigger. You built a big reputation up in Arizona a few months ago. You see, I used to be up that way myself.
I still say you made a mistake.
Well, have it your way, Trigger. But the reason I spoke to you is because I thought you might want to join me and some friends to make some easy money.
Listen,
Now, don't
mister.
give me any answer now, Trigger. I know you usually play a lone hand, but if you want to try riding with a gang led by a mighty smart leader, come back here tomorrow afternoon and talk it over with me. I'll be here.
Wait, and let me talk a minute, mister.
Sure.
Once and for all, my name isn't Trigger. I've never been in Arizona territory, and I'm not an outlaw. What's more, I'm not interested in being one, either alone or with a gang.
By thunder, you're even smarter than folks give you credit for. You know, if I wasn't so sure, you'd have me believe in what you say. Of course, a young hombre like you, hunted by the law in Arizona Territory, has to be careful, even down here in Texas. You never know when somebody will recognize you and tip off the law.
Tell me something. What makes you so sure my name's Trigger?
I heard plenty about you and even saw your picture on a handbill. So it's no use trying to deny your identity, Trigger. Of course, I won't mention it to anyone. All I'm interested in is getting another good gunslick to ride with us. And I think you're the hombre who'd fit in with the gang.
You're sure hard to convince, mister.
I reckon I am. Remember what I said. I'll be in here tomorrow afternoon. You won't regret it if you decide to come back then and talk things over. So long, Trigger. Maybe I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Take your time. Think it over.
That night after dark, Ned arrived in Caldwell and went directly to Judy's home. There he heard the details of her father's murder and learned that his own father, the sheriff, was out of town. Ned spent the night at the hotel and set out the following morning to hunt the outlaw gang. Meantime, the Lone Ranger and Tonto rode the trail through the hills near Caldwell. Suddenly, they were startled by the sound of a shot. And a voice called out from behind some boulders.
Stop where you are and reach.
Oh, Silver, oh, easy.
Oh, fella.
We'll do as he says until he shows himself.
Get up, boy.
Here come Ryder from Boulders.
Oh, there. Got you both covered. I figure you two hombres are with the Bates.
We're not outlaws.
The mask says you are, mister.
The Lone Ranger glanced quickly at Tonto. The Indian understood. Knee signals caused Silver and Scout to move apart quickly. The young man looked from the Lone Ranger to Tonto.
Wait.
In that second, the masked man drew and fired.
No!
You're not hurt. The bullet hit your gun.
My hand's numb.
I told you we're not outlaws.
Well, you got the drop on me now. I suppose...
All right, dismount. We'll not hurt you. I think an explanation is in order. Easy, steady, big fella.
Easy, Scout, easy, fella.
Now, who are you?
I'm Ned Downs. I'm gunning for Jeff Bates, leader of an outlaw gang. He killed the father of the girl I'm going to marry.
We came here to help capture that gang.
What?
A young fellow like you wouldn't have a chance against them alone.
You came here after Bates and his gang?
That's right.
But I don't savvy why the masked man...
Oh, him, Lone Ranger. Me, his friend, Tonto.
The Lone Ranger?
That's right.
Oh, gosh, I've heard about you from my dad. He's sheriff in Caldwell.
Why don't you work with your father?
Well, Dad and the posse haven't had any luck getting evidence against that gang, much less run them down.
Oh?
You see, I've been away to school. Came to town last night. I stopped first at my girl's house. Judy told me her father had been killed a week ago by a gang that held him up on the way home from the bank.
Killed by Jeff Bates and his men?
Yeah, couldn't be proved, I reckon. He died at home, but whispered the name Bates to Judy just before he died. Nobody else heard him, so it's just her word. But I swore to run him down and get the truth.
That wouldn't be easy, Ned.
Anyway, Judy told me last night Dad had gone to Pecos with a prisoner and left his deputy in charge. The deputy and the posse haven't done much to find that gang.
I still think it would be better if you rode with the posse, Ned.
No. The deputy, Gil Harris, used to go with Judy before she decided she liked me better. We don't get along. He doesn't even know I'm back.
Ned, perhaps we could work together against that gang.
All right. Your bullet smashed the gun I was holding, but I've another one with me.
Sorry I had to shoot.
It's all right. Yesterday, over in Red Rock at the cafe, I was mistaken for an outlaw myself.
Oh? What happened?
An hombre came up to me and called me Trigger. Asked if I was still playing a lone hand. I told him he'd made a mistake, but he just laughed. Said if I wanted to join with him and some friends to make easy money, to come back there this afternoon. Then he left.
He might have been one of Bates' men.
Isn't that right?
That thought didn't occur to me. Say, maybe it'd be a good idea for me to go meet him. It's only 5 miles to Red Rock. If he did take me to Bates, I could get in with the gang and keep in touch with you until I got evidence against him.
It's a great risk, Ned.
But it might be our chance to get the Bates gang.
You might be able to get evidence against them, but
Well, that's our one chance, mister. And as long as they're convinced I'm an outlaw named Trigger, There wouldn't be much risk. I could find out when they plan a holdup, get a word to the posse, then let 'em move in and catch the gang red-handed.
It might work, Ned.
I'll go meet that hombre this afternoon and try to join the gang.
All right, we'll ride part of the way with you. Set up a camp and wait for word from you.
Not good idea.
All right, let's go. Easy, steady, big fella.
Easy, fella.
Come on, settle there.
Come on, down.
Later that afternoon, Ned entered the cafe in Red Rock. A man standing at the bar turned and grinned as the young man approached.
Well, Trigger, I thought you might show up.
I got to thinking over what you said yesterday.
Let's sit down where we can talk private. Here we are. My name's Slim, Trigger. I told the boss about meeting you. He said if you were interested...
That depends on who your boss is.
Reckon you've heard of Jeff Bates?
Jeff Bates. Yeah. I have heard something about him and his gang. From what I heard, he must be smart. The law doesn't have evidence against his gang so far.
Yeah, that's right. The sheriff and posse at Caldwell have been hunting us, but even if they found the gang, there's not enough evidence to hold us on.
Not used to working with a gang.
Oh, you get used to it. You have a reputation as a gunman, Trigger, and we could use one more man. Now, what do you say? Want to meet Jeff Bates and ride with us?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd like meeting him.
Good. No use wasting time. We'll leave right now. Come on.
Later, at a hideout shack not far from Caldwell, Ned met Jeff Bates and 4 more of his men. Still mistaken for an outlaw named Trigger, Ned was received without question.
Glad to have you with us, Trigger. For a young hombre, you sure made a reputation for yourself in Arizona. Slim recognized you in the cafe. He told me you were in this territory.
I still don't remember ever seeing Slim before.
You didn't. But I saw your picture on a handbill in Arizona once.
You joined us at a good time, Trigger. We're planning a job for tomorrow afternoon. Robbing the stage from Pecos to Caldwell. We stop in Boulder Valley.
That's right.
You ride with us on that job. You take care of the guard.
Uh-huh.
From then on, you'll be a full member of the gang.
That evening, Slim and 2 of the men left to go to the cafe in Red Rock. Ned played cards for a while with Jeff Bates and the remaining 2 members of the gang. Then he finally stood up.
I'm tired of playing cards. Think I'll ride the cafe and join Slim and the others for a while.
Sure, go ahead. Tell them to get back early.
Right. See you all later.
A short time later, Ned pulled rein at the Lone Ranger's camp.
Oh, boy. Steady there.
Well, Ned, we were getting worried.
Everything's working out fine, mister. I can't stay long. Have to go on to Red Rock and meet a few of the men. I'm accepted as a member of the gang.
Good.
They plan to hold up the stage tomorrow afternoon. That'll be the chance to catch 'em red-handed.
I suggest you write a note, Ned, explaining the steps you've taken and telling what the gang plans to do. Tonto will take it to your father's office tonight.
All right.
We'll follow the stage in tomorrow and be on hand to help capture the gang.
I'll write the note now. Then I'll head for Red Rock so the men won't get suspicious.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger adventure. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue.
Oh, Scout. Oh, fella. Easy, Scout. Easy, fella.
That night, Tonto rode to town and stopped at the sheriff's office. With Ned's note in his hand, he entered.
Well, Injun, what brings you here?
Me bring note to sheriff.
Sheriff Downs is out of town. He expected to be back late today, but got delayed. The note's important. I can take...
It plenty important. It note from son.
A note from Ned?
But
he's away at school.
No, him here now.
Oh.
You read note.
Yeah. Dear Dad, I arrived last night, but you were out of town. I had a chance to join the Bates gang. They plan to rob the stage tomorrow. I'll be with them. This is the chance you've waited for to get evidence against him. The holdup will take place at Boulder Valley. Be there with your posse, your son Ned. So Ned Downs got in with a gang to get evidence, huh?
That's right. Him brave young fella.
Well, we'll be there to grab the gang. Like he says, it's the chance we've been waiting for.
That's good. Well, me go now.
Tonto left the office, and the deputy sat a moment in thought. Then he smiled grimly, left the desk, and went to speak to another deputy.
Jim, I have news.
Yeah? What?
I found out the Bates gang is planning to hold up the stage tomorrow at Boulder Valley.
Holy mackerel. How'd you find that out?
From an Indian friend of mine. And what's more, he told me something else that'll surprise everybody in town.
Yeah? What?
The sheriff's son, Ned, is a member of that gang.
What? Well, that's impossible. Sheriff's son is at school.
No, he isn't. He must have give up school without letting the sheriff know and went to join up with Bates.
But if he's caught red-handed with a gang...
My duty is to uphold the law, Jim. We'll catch that gang. And if Ned Downs is with him, by thunder, he'll take his medicine along with the rest of them.
Gil Harris saw a chance to get even with Ned Downs for winning the favor of the banker's daughter, Judy. The deputy did not tell that the information he had received about the Bates gang had come from Ned.
Gil, don't you think you better try to get word to Sheriff Downs so he can be here when we go to capture the gang?
Can't get word to him in time. Anyway, it's better if he isn't here under the circumstances. It'll be bad enough for him to get back and find his son is in jail as an outlaw.
Gosh, the sheriff will take it mighty hard.
Maybe, but the law's the law, Jim. If Ned's with that gang, it's our job to capture him.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Jim, I was thinking it'd be better not to mention about Ned to the posse. I'm counting on you to keep your mouth shut.
Just as you say, Gil.
It'll be a feather in our hats to grab Bates and his men, Jim. I don't want anything to happen to prevent it. If the gang gets word we're wise, they'll leave the stage alone. This is our big chance, so word mustn't leak out, savvy?
You can count on me.
Good. We'll be ready to jump that gang as soon as it stops the stage. This town is sure in for a big surprise tomorrow.
The next day, the Lone Ranger and Tonto, certain that the deputy and the posse would carry through the plan to capture the gang, rode some distance from town to wait for the stage to go by.
Scout. You said a big fella.
Oh, fella.
Too bad Sheriff Downs didn't return in time to lead the posse, Tonto. He'll be proud of what his son has done. No doubt the deputy will warn the men of the posse that Ned is with the gang, so they'll be careful not to endanger him when they surprise them.
Deputy, plenty please. Ned join gang, get evidence.
Good. We'll wait in hiding until the stage passes us. Then we'll follow it and be ready to do our part.
Meantime, Bates and his gang rode toward Boulder Valley.
Should be an easy job, men. Being Saturday, we ought to get a lot of cash. I've been keeping watch. Found out the stage always brings cash to the bank on Saturdays.
We could use some cash.
Figure you'll get your share if you do your part. Now remember, you're to take care of the guard and see that he doesn't get a chance to use his gun.
Yeah, I'll remember.
Stage usually carries passengers, too. Slim and I'll get their valuables. After the robbery, we'll separate, cover our tracks back to the hideout. Get up there. Come on.
The deputy left half the posse in hiding on one side of the valley and took the rest of the men to the opposite side.
Easy now.
He gave them final instructions and added,
Men, I want to capture all those outlaws. Don't let any one of them get away. We'll wait and hide and watch. Let them actually hold up the stage and get the cash box. Then we'll move in and catch them dead to rights with the evidence. All right, the stage will be coming soon. You all here be on your toes.
Get up there. Come on now.
A few miles from town, the stage creaked along the trail. Sheriff Downs sat in the guard's place beside the driver, who was saying,
Lucky you was taking this trip, Sheriff. The guard took sick just before time to leave Pegasus.
Glad to take his place, Jake. My horse went lame. I had to leave him behind. I'd rather ride up here than closed up inside that doggone coach.
I feel better having you with me. Carrying a lot of bank cash today, and I'd have felt nervous without a guard.
Well, we'll soon be in Caldwell, safe and sound.
Yep, there's Boulder Valley just ahead.
Get up there. Come on now.
Bates and his men waited patiently for the stage to enter the valley.
It'll be coming along soon, men. Have your guns ready and ride out shooting.
I reckon you're itching to go into action, huh, Trigger?
Yeah.
Well, it won't be long now. You won't be sorry you joined the gang.
Reckon I won't, Slim.
Now listen, all of you. We mask our faces with our bandanas and... Here comes the stage now.
Yeah.
This is it. Come on. Get up.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto, following the stage, rode from cover when they heard the shooting, and a moment later they saw the gang stop the stage. The masked man watched for the posse to appear according to the plan. Then, when he saw horsemen closing in from either side, he and Tonto urged their horses into a gallop to help capture the outlaws.
Come on, there.
There were no passengers in the coach, and the stage driver and sheriff were surrounded by outlaws before they had a chance to act. They were quickly disarmed, and the cash box taken by the gang.
Break open that box and put the money in your saddlebags. All right. Trigger, keep your eyes on the sheriff and the driver.
As the sheriff and driver sat with raised hands,
Jeff, what's the law?
the sheriff turned to the driver and said,
Look, a posse coming from both sides to trap the outlaws.
Run out, men, and give it to them.
The crooks have their hands full with the posse. Come on, men, get them. Don't let them escape.
When the sheriff called out, Jeff, the outlaw leader, turned suddenly to shoot him, but Ned Downs was quicker.
Hey, Sheriff, that slim young crook shot the gang leader.
Yeah, the leader was about to gun me.
Ned, masked by the bandana, wasn't recognized by his father, but the sheriff realized the young man had saved his life. Ned saw the Lone Ranger and Tonto riding toward the stage and galloped to join them. The deputy, Gill, also saw the masked man and Indian. He recognized Tonto as the Indian who had brought the note and tried to shoot him. His first bullet went wild, and before he could shoot again, the Lone Ranger opened fire.
Tonto, that deputy was trying to shoot you.
Hit by one of the Lone Ranger's bullets, the deputy fell from the saddle, and the masked man and Indian rode toward him.
Come on, Silver.
Near the stage, the outlaws, several of whom were wounded, quickly surrendered. Ned removed his bandana, and as he and the Lone Ranger and Tonto approached the stage, the posse threatened them with guns.
Here comes a masked man and Indian. Cover the men.
The sheriff left the stage and stood with drawn gun as the four riders approached.
By thunder, that's my son, Ned, and Deputy Gil Harris with him.
Wait there. Tell the men not to shoot. These men are friends.
Hold your fire, men.
Oh,
Ned, I don't savvy.
Sheriff, your son was with the outlaws. Deputy found out.
By golly, mister, I recognize you and that Indian now.
Good.
Sheriff, that masked man, he shot me in the shoulder.
You were shooting at my Indian friend.
I don't savvy
They're
this.
members of the gang, and so is your son, Ned. He was helping in the holdup.
Wait a minute, Gil. You know better than that. I sent a note to Dad's office last night.
And me take note. Give it to deputy. Him read it. Say it good. Ned get evidence against gang.
He's lying about a note, Sheriff.
Tonto told the truth, Sheriff. Ned did join the gang to get evidence. He was with them when this robbery was planned. He sent a note to your office last night telling about it.
Gil, where's that note?
I tell you they're lying.
I'll cover him. Search him, mister.
Right. Here's a note in his pocket.
The sheriff quickly read the note, then spoke angrily.
So you wanted me to believe Ned was an outlaw, did you?
I reckon he did that because of Judy, Dad. I didn't think he'd pull a trick like that.
Tie the crooks, men, and we'll take him to jail.
All right, Sheriff.
As for Gil, I'll figure out what to do with him after we get back to town.
Sheriff Downs, you have a brave son. You have the evidence you need now to hold Bates and his men. I'm sure before long you'll get them to talk and give further evidence against Jeff Bates.
I'll get him to talk plenty, mister.
Tonto and I'll leave now. We'll see you in town before we leave the territory. Adios, everybody.
Goodbye.
Adios, Ned.
Goodbye and good luck.
Come on, Phil.
Sheriff, Ned said those two hombres are friends. You took their word against Gil's. But one of them's wearing a mask.
Jim, they are friends. They helped Ned with his plans, and they got him out of a jam. Jeff Bates and his men wouldn't have attempted a robbery if they'd known the masked man and Indian were in the territory. And my former Deputy Gill wouldn't have tried what he did if he'd known who that Indian was who took him the note.
Well, why?
You see, that masked man is none other than the Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger?
This is a feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated, created by George W. Trendle, produced by Trendle Campbell Muir Incorporated, and directed by Charles D. Livingston. Tonight's drama was written by Dan Beatty. The part of the Lone Ranger is played by Brace Beamer.
You've been listening to the OTR Gold Network. Find more classic radio at otrgold.com.